This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Cambodia is said to be a drug tourist destination, but is it? Prisoners party like it's 1999 and leave officials deeply embarrassed. And I report on the most vile and disgusting crime I have ever reported on. And I'm not saying that for effect. But firstly, our headline story, as Cambodia is being labelled by some to be a drug tourism destination. And if you type drug tourism Cambodia into the internet, you can see the Wikipedia entry for Cambodia and drugs. Opens with, "In Cambodia, drugs are readily available." And that's not good, as Wikipedia gets 10 billion hits every single month. And just below Wikipedia's entry is the US Department of State, and their entry states, "Cambodia has a significant and growing problem with drug consumption, trafficking and production." And of course, there is an issue with drugs within the kingdom. Only last week I reported a huge jump in drug seizures. They are up by a whopping 127%. But hang on, let's get some perspective before we go any further, as drug seizures are up in every single country. But what detracts from Cambodia and other such developing countries as a potential haven for illegal drug use is because those countries are cheap to live in. So in my research, I typed, "Can I buy illegal drugs in Cambodia?" into the internet, thinking Reddit and forums would pop up telling me how to get real high, real cheap. But oddly, the first result was none other than the British Embassy telling me not to be a silly boy. What they exactly said was, "Penalties for drug offences in Cambodia are severe. Possession of even small quantities of recreational drugs can lead to a long prison sentence." There you go. If you need a large dose of cold, unimaginative reality, just trust us Brits to give it to you in spades. Now, the Deputy Secretary General for the National Authority for Combating Drugs said to us at the Khmer Times this week that Cambodia is not a hub for drug tourism. He emphasised that in 2024, Cambodian authorities did not discover one single drug production facility within the entire country, which is, in fact, remarkable, as neighbouring countries have multi-billion-dollar factories churning out illegal drugs on an industrial scale. The problem Cambodia does have is its position. It is slap bang in the heart of the Golden Triangle, and the kingdom is doing all it can to try and shake off the dirty stain left by any association with drugs. In just the first 8 months of this year, 17,500 arrests were made for drugs, and that is astonishing, an arrest rate that is up 42% on last year. So, is Cambodia a place for drug tourists? Well, how we can answer that, very simply, is by bringing in a single witness. A witness who never lies, for it is literally impossible for this witness to lie. And that witness is maths. Of the 17,500 arrests for illegal drug use, only 550 were foreigners. So that means only 3% of all drug-related arrests are foreigners. And the majority of those are related to crime syndicates and to smuggling. It is not people coming to the kingdom seeking a cheaper high. It is those criminal organisations that seem to be blackening the name of Cambodia, not the supposed plague of drug tourists. On this week's Crime Desk, the most vile story I have ever had to read. And I ain't making that up, I wish I was. Also, a young girl is murdered and found face down in a pond, as well as the ex-Kep governor admits in court he was extremely corrupt. I honestly did not know if I wanted to report this story. It is without doubt the worst story I have ever come across. And trust me, I am not amping this. There is no hyperbole here. This story turned my stomach like no other. But reporting the news is what I do. So here is a story so depraved and so vile, I don't think I will ever be able to forget it. A man closely connected to a religious affairs group has been arrested for multiple underage rapes. So already we are in the territory of the disgusting and the obscene. But believe me, we are about to go through the looking glass, and this is going to get a whole load worse. But before we do, let's have a look at the accused, why not? Here he is in his anonymity secreted behind a blurred image. So let's do something about that first. Here we go again. Yep, this is the man. His name is Khmer Suhami, and he stands accused of 4 rapes. His victims were underage girls, and his hunting ground included a school dormitory. Now here we get to the part that will really turn your stomach. The girls he is alleged to have raped included teenagers who were just 13 and 14 years of age, as well as 2 girls aged 1 and 2. Holy God. It's about now your faith in humanity seeps away through the cracks in the paving stones. Yes, you did hear that right. This guy is accused of raping infants who were just aged 1 and 2 years. The incidents are alleged to have occurred at a school in Russi Kio district. The chairman of that very school for Islamic religious affairs in Cambodia, who, by the way, the chairman is also the father of the accused. Well, that father and chairman said it was a rumour and nothing more, and he claimed that his son has not committed any crimes. But with the numerous teenage girls now coming forward, there are certainly many questions to be answered. At current, the prosecutor's office has allowed the police to detain the suspect and to build a case, which is to be sent to court for further legal processing. So let us now move on to our next case for our crime desk, and I am sorry to say it ain't going to get any better, as this is the headline we saw earlier this week. Police search after 8-year-old girl dies in suspected murder rape. This horrifying tale opens when the body of an 8-year-old girl was found semi-naked and suffering severe head trauma in Kandal province. It was very apparent to investigating officers that the little girl had been abused and then violently battered around the head with a blunt object. But why don't we add another layer of tragedy to this story, as this poor, defenseless child was also mentally retarded. She had had a very difficult life and her future was far from promising, but her family loved her and they cared for her. That was until her life was so brutally taken away from her. The girl's mother explained at 5 p.m. one late afternoon, her daughter had disappeared from the house. When her absence was noted, the parents and their relatives searched for hours long into the night, looking for the missing child, but they did not find her. The mother then went to the police and asked the authorities to help in the search for her lost daughter. Then, at 10:30 the very next morning, this nightmare was to get so much worse, especially for the father of the child. For as he searched a flooded forest, he saw his daughter's body floating in the water, her head bloodied by severe beatings, and her corpse already decomposing. It was he that had to wade into that murky water and retrieve the lifeless body of his child and carry her back to his family home. The level of tragedy involved in this case is off the chart. As of yet, unfortunately, there has been no arrests in this most tragic of tales. Okay, so where do we go after those two stories that really had me thumping my keyboard with anger? Well, now we are going to prison. Prasar prison, to be precise, as what has come out of there has caused a huge commotion within the prison ministry, as the last thing that you want on the internet, if you are responsible for the nation's prisons, that is a video of prisoners drinking, singing karaoke and having a jolly good time whilst being banged up. It is not what the public expects when they see a criminal sent to jail for breaking the law. But unfortunately for the ministry in charge of prisons, a video of convicts living it up and having a great time was released on social media, and it caused a huge commotion on the internet, as I'm sure you could understand. The video itself was released by this man, a convict himself who had just been released from jail, and his video sent a shockwave through the legal system. And it don't get no better, as it is now being reported it was not just one prison that this was going on in, but two, Prasar prison and PJ prison in Phnom Penh. Now, I have searched everywhere, including numerous other news agencies, but for the life of me, I cannot find a copy of this video. But what we do know for sure is what was in that video has caused deep embarrassment to officials, and action was immediately taken, as the Ministry of Interior told us at the Khmer Times that the Deputy Prime Minister has launched an investigation, and already a new Director of Correction Centres has been appointed, and a clampdown to stop prisoners partying like it's 1999 is now in full effect. Our closing story this week is all about corruption, and if you live in Khmer, then this story may well be familiar to you. And my goodness, this story rattled through our newsroom like an express train. It started a few months back with this headline: New Khmer City Governor appointed. Then that initial headline, it mutated into this: disgraced former Khmer governor brought to trial. And just one single day after that headline, a new headline, but with the same picture. It declared, former Khmer City governor admits to committing graft. Justice on this occasion was so rapid, even a particularly excited ferret would have trouble keeping up with it. The ex-Khmer governor at this lightning speed trial has admitted to numerous charges of illegal activity and abusing his trusted position. He has been charged with abuse of power and money laundering. The evidence was so strong that the accused confessed to the charges and asked the court to commute the sentence. He even asked the court to be lenient with him. But The judge seemed to frown on such a request, as he stated the accused faces a jail term from 5 to 10 years if he's convicted. And to underline his sentiment, the judge pointed out the ex-governor had illegally collected large sums of money from the public and businessmen as for fees for public services, including building construction permits and civil registration documents. He then took the hoarded money and bought up tracts of land and properties, enriching himself greatly. As a governor of a region, there is no other standard apart from excellence. And that is what is expected. And the judge seems to be less than impressed by a man who, when handed a responsibility of the people, did little more than abuse that trust so he could enrich himself. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
And here is the weather, and I always like to start with what have I been up to this week. Makes the weather a bit more interesting, I feel. Well, I went up a mountainside, bloody long walk, through the jungle, but man, it was so good. But when I came down, I saw these kids splashing around in a pool in a pagoda, and oh my goodness, it reminded me oh so much of how wonderful youth is. So I thought I'd share that picture with you. But just like my youth, let's just swipe that to one side and then have a look at the weather chart. And what we see is rain across the board, but look, no lightning, no thunder. Is this the end of the rainy season? Well, who knows? Well, humidity's still high at 82%, and those temperatures are still up there. 32 is your highest, but weirdly, for reasons I don't know, Google is saying excessive heat. Really? They should come and visit in the summertime.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.